Who is to blame for the death of Saab? This question serves as an epitaph for an entire era of automotive history. When the factory in Trollhättan stopped its assembly lines forever in December 2011, the world lost more than just a brand. It lost the last independent engineering rebel. Saab was one of a kind, a company that built cars as if they were meant to break the sound barrier, rather than just carry passengers to the grocery store. Why did a brand that gave the world turbocharging, active headrests, and unparalleled aviation-inspired ergonomics collapse under the weight of its own debt? We are accustomed to blaming evil General Motors management or the 2008 global crisis. But that is only the tip of the iceberg. In this comprehensive review, we will dissect how the Swedish automotive industry committed suicide by trying to chase a model of globalization it was never built for. We will compare Saab's strategy with how Porsche transformed from a money-losing company into a financial powerhouse, how Volvo stayed afloat, and why, in a world where cars have become disposable gadgets, Saab's integrity became its death warrant. This is a story of how brilliant engineers lost the battle against Excel spreadsheets, and how a brand that designed cars with an eye toward fighter jets was erased from the automotive map by corporate incompetence. The story of Saab is the story of engineers triumphing over marketers. From the moment the company was founded as the automotive division of an aviation giant, Svenska Aeroplan Aktiebolaget, the approach to the product was different. The Saab 92, launched in 1949, had an aerodynamic drag coefficient of C sub x equals 0.30. For comparison, most modern mass-market sedans struggle to reach that figure today. It was a victory of pure calculation over trends. But therein lay the first fundamental trap. An engineering boutique is always exclusive. In the 80s, the Saab 900 Turbo became an icon. Its engine produced power comparable to much more expensive sports coupes of the time. Saab engineers made no compromises. They designed engine bays so that in a head-on collision, the engine would slide under the car rather than into the cabin. They were the first to implement the APC system, a boost management system that allowed the engine to run on any octane rating, which in the 80s felt like magic. But where was the error? In scaling, Saab produced between 80,000 and 120,000 cars a year. In an industry where survival depends on economies of scale, this was critically low. For reference, to afford the development of its own engines, transmissions, and most importantly, modern platforms, a company needs to produce at least 300,000 to 400,000 cars. Saab did not have these numbers. Every component, every part of a Saab was golden in terms of unit cost, because those costs could not be spread across 1 million units like at Volkswagen or Toyota. Saab was trapped in the engineering elitism loop. The cars were so complex and expensive to build that even by selling them at a premium, the company was either breaking even or losing money. This was engineering pride, not backed by a financial foundation. While BMW and Audi captured markets by embracing unification, Saab kept betting on uniqueness, which in the era of global capitalism became prohibitively expensive. It was a path to bankruptcy disguised as technical perfection. Technological pride. The Trionic engine management system was a masterpiece, but its development cost more than implementing the standard Bosch control units used by competitors. Saab engineers strove for the ideal, whereas the market demanded good enough for less money. This was a race against their own unit costs, which the brand began losing as early as the 90s. In 1989, the arrival of General Motors was a moment of truth. The American giant bought 50% of the shares, hoping to turn Saab into a global competitor to the German premium sector. But GM made a strategic error. It tried to squeeze Swedish philosophy into American cost-cutting molds. The process of unification began methodically and cynically. The main victim was the 9-3 model. Its second generation was built on the GM Epsilon platform, shared with the Opel Vectra, Chevrolet Malibu, and dozens of other GM models. For Saab, this was the beginning of the end. A customer who had spent their whole life paying for a Saab because it was a Swedish fighter jet suddenly discovered that the buttons, levers, control units, and suspension components were cheap plastic from an Opel. The brand's DNA was diluted. When you have parts inside your car that you see in a budget hatchback, you no longer feel like the owner of a premium vehicle. Why did Volvo succeed where Saab failed? Volvo was sold to Ford, but Ford acted more wisely. It allowed Volvo to maintain autonomy in platform development and design. Tata, having purchased Jaguar Land Rover, invested billions in creative freedom, allowing the brand to become what it is today. Saab, however, became not an asset to GM, but a technology donor. GM took Swedish developments, such as turbocharged engines, transferred them to their budget models, and left Saab on a starvation diet. In 2008, when the global financial crisis struck, Saab's sales plummeted to 20,000 cars a year. That was the moment even GM realized Saab was a toxic asset. America itself was on the brink of collapse, and investing in a Swedish legend no longer made sense. And then began the most dramatic phase, the search for a savior. The Dutch company Spyker, which bought the brand, was merely a ghost of hope. They had no billions for development and no access to new platforms. They tried to build a company from scratch using loans and the last scraps of supplier trust. Suppliers, seeing that Saab wasn't paying its bills, simply stopped shipping parts. It was a domino effect. Factories halted, dealerships closed one by one, and customers, frightened by bankruptcy news, turned their backs on the brand. Geopolitical deadlock. GM played the role of the primary executioner during this time. When the Chinese corporation BAIC tried to buy Saab's technology and the Epsilon platform to save the brand, GM blocked the deal for fear of creating a competitor in the Asian market. It was a dog-in-the-manger move. GM didn't need the technology, but they didn't want anyone else to have it. Saab became a victim of geopolitical and corporate games where the brand's interests were the last thing shareholders cared about. By the end of 2011, debt had reached $2 billion, and the company didn't even have enough working capital to pay the electricity bill at the Trollhättan plant. The situation was exacerbated by the fact that GM, holding key patents on the Epsilon platforms, demanded royalties on every car sold, even if the brand moved to a new owner. This made Saab's business model inherently unprofitable. Suppliers, seeing this financial black hole, ultimately stopped shipments, putting an end to production. Why did Saab die? The answer is that in the modern world, the auto industry is not about engineers. It's about logistics, cash flow, and the ability to sell lifestyle instead of engineering solutions. Saab lost this battle for 3 reasons. Economic inviability. They tried to build a premium product on volumes that weren't even enough for a mass-market brand. Corporate oppression. GM's unification killed uniqueness, causing the brand to lose its loyal audience without gaining a new one. Out of sync with time. While the world moved to hybrids, electronics, and SUVs, Saab kept trying to sell turbocharged sedans until the very end. Saab was a brand for those who understood why the ignition key was located on the center console. But there were too few such buyers. We lost a company that proved a car could be an object of art. But this market does not forgive integrity if it is not backed by profit. The story of Saab is a story of how the quest for perfection lost the fight for efficiency. Which of these factors was fatal? Was it the corporate policy of GM, which slowly strangled the brand with unification, or the company's own inability to adapt to a market that demanded mass appeal? Think about it. Saab will forever remain in history as a monument to what happens when technology outpaces the business model. This lesson is relevant today for any innovation project. Innovation without a market is just beautiful blueprints in the trash can of history. Who is responsible? Perhaps every one of us who admired Saab in pictures but voted with our wallets for bland, yet reliable and profitable German and Japanese cars,